Good afternoon. It's Friday, March 5th, and this is Mike back with another Last Epoch dev stream. Hello, welcome again. We're going to be continuing with our awesome primalist here, his Fenton, as we named him last time. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the stream. Give some people a little bit to get in here. And just okay, I'm small again. Nice. All right, we are going to keep going. Quiet. I will make you proud. How can I make you proud? If anyone's got some questions ready to go, I'm here. Standing in fire hurts. Thank you. I appreciate the reminder. I need I need these things. Remember what my build was here. Remember how to play. We're just smashing. So if you missed last time, our build, we're focusing on Tempest Strike. We're gonna go into we're gonna try and get a Warcry totem and a Storm totem. Use Tempest Strike, get that combination. Hopefully rolling well, see what we can do with it. We're a little early still, we're only level 15. So far we specialized in Tempest Strike and Thorn Totem. Raids ahoy. Yeah, I've got it this time, guys. Don't worry. See you later, vengeful disciple of the Ox. Experience. Oh, let's level up, boys. Give me my experience. Ow. Ow. Will Shaman see more fire support? Will they stay thematically away from fire and just keep it what little it has? Shaman is pretty heavily in the physical lightning cold sort of, and that's already 3 pretty heavy ones. The part of the issue with giving it more fire stuff is that you then have 2 classes that have the same element pool pretty well taken care of with mage variants and then shaman as well. So that's what we try to avoid a little bit from fire. It does fit in that sort of force of nature theming, so we like having some fire elements, and it is a good conversion. But there might be a few little things that get added with it here and there, you know. It's not, I wouldn't say it's completely done, but it'll definitely stay a secondary theme instead of a primary one. Like what I would call lightning, cold, and physical. So Sarno teased 3rd transformation stuff a long time ago. Care to give any more info about it? We can talk about that a bit. Sure. Ooh, I won't die, I promise. The 3rd transformation, which I know we have teased, there will be one. And if you look in the passive panel, you can see a little bit that there's a gap there for it. In Druid. And Druid really is that transformation thing. We do want to get different archetypes covered. The goal with Druid is really to have different archetypes available through multiple transforms. So being able to do DPS through different transforms, having support roles be possible through different transforms in different ways, and really get that, like, I can play the style I want and the transform I want, and have options. Or maybe you're playing multiple transforms simultaneously. So the I would say the 2 core core archetypes that are already visible. Really, is that bigger, beefier, tank DPS, bruiser type character with the bear, and then we've got that smaller nature theme caster style transform with the scared myself there with the Spriggan form. And so I'm not going to tell you the name of the new one, but I think there's you can get a kind of a good sense of what's missing in that space, and general theming around it be not similar to the other two. We've already got that tank archetype. Ooh. It'll definitely have ways to deal damage effectively. I'm trying to talk and play at the same time. I'm trying to res the wolf. Come on, let me res him. There we go. Thank you, buddy. Oh. Okay. Oh, Werebear is so ugly, will it be updated? Yeah, who said that? Oh, it was me. Yes, we've got plans for Werebear updates coming, and you definitely the way I was talking about Werebear a second ago with how it's that beefier tank sort of role theming. I shouldn't say role, but theming. The new model for it definitely exemplifies that very well. Ooh. Come on, there we go. Should probably look at passives and gear for a second here because I'm struggling a little bit. Definitely has nothing to do with the quality of the skill I'm using. The skill is top tier. A little OP actually. Bear and beef armor. No, really, it's just really big bear arms that you get. Alright, get me out of this zone. Let's go. Whew, that was actually tough. That was actually a little tough. I think we were coming over here. I don't care about earth spikes that we're doing. No, this is what I want. Gotta remember what I was doing here. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maelstrom. Yeah. Maelstrom. Okay, what do we got? Yeah. Might be better. +1 Eterra's blessing. Oh no, we got our Falcon. It's way better. Physical damage, get some lightning. Yeah, let's do that. Sounds good.
Greetings. Farewell.
You farewell too, thank you.
Who are you? Go on.
I'm going. What should we expect for some new totems? Boardman asks. Yeah, there is still there's a bit of a gap in the up here. There's a nice hole. I think a totem would go really well right there. In the shaman tree, I think that would be a great place for one. And I mean, if we look at the totems that are available for shaman, we've got a very lightning heavy themed totem. And we've got a very physical themed heavy totem. And there's a nice little gap sitting right there for one. So there'll definitely be one more coming because shamans are supposed to be the totem heavy primaries. 17. All right. I think this is what I want. Yeah. Pretty sure that was what I was planning. Feel free to critique my build and tell me how to fix it. Then I realize that I'm just sort of running off into the woods and in the wrong direction. What would Fire Totem do? Oh, that was Jeff. Are you going to address perma support for transformation with Druid Tree in future updates? Yeah, so the really interesting thing about transformations. This is a great topic. I love this topic. Transformations have sort of a weird spot, especially we're trying to keep them unique from class to class. So we've got the and Necromancer and Primalist share a lot of stuff in general. So they both have transformations, they both have minions, they both have spells, they both have minions or melee attacks. Like there's a lot that they share. There's a lot they don't as well, like the damage types you're generally doing, and we try and keep the styles of the minions distinct, and we try and keep the styles of the transformations distinct. So the Acolyte's transformation, yeah, there's only one, but you retain all your skills on your bar. With the Primalist transformations, the goal is to keep them feeling like another creature you're becoming, not like a different version of yourself almost. So having those very thematic abilities linked to it really helps with that transformation theming. Ooh, yeah. So there's this need to have unique abilities for those transformations, and what that does is that it then unless there's really significant interactions between your other skills and the transformation, if you have 100% uptime on that transformation, you've got up to 4 other skills that you're specialized in that do just nothing. So it suddenly becomes, how can I use these skills procced through other means? Can I have an item that casts Maelstrom for me? Can I have an idol that casts something else for me, you know? Or it's just equipping minions and letting the minions roll. So you have 4 minions in your transformation skill, and it's sort of one of those things where we want the other skills you're specialized in to play a role, which is part of why we initially were trying not to let 100% transformation uptime happen. Now, if it comes at a price and there's a trade-off, it's really not that terrible. You build yourself around it, great. I think personally a really cool playstyle would be something where you are very intentionally transforming multiple times into different forms. So you've got Werebear on your bar, and you've got other form on your bar, wink, and you're switching between them fairly regularly. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I know a lot of people just want to be Werebear. One of my best friends, all he does in games like this is plays Werebear builds, and like he when we first told him I was making this, he's like, tell me when you got Werebear and I'll play it for you. So like we know people do want that 100% uptime as an option, and we'll be giving some love to those transformations in general as we introduce the last one as well, and I think there'll be a lot of different good things coming in that category in general. We definitely recognize that Primalist is one of the older classes. A lot of we've learned a lot in the last 3 years making this game, and a lot of the stuff we made really early on it's not as high quality as some of the stuff we've made recently, and it shows. Like, I think that the Rogue is definitely a significant step above quality-wise in general from most Primalist skills. Like, there's a lot of things in here that probably need some reworks, and they'll get them. Oh, that's another Falcon, I know it. Ooh, spicy. Spicy! Awesome. Too spicy. just don't pay attention to me. I'm over here. It's fine. Come on. Come on. Yep. Two of the same one. Womp womp. Okay, we'll see which one's better in a sec. Talking about new skills, I love Warcry. Is the property of blocking projectiles something intentional? I hope it is. I think it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's a physical thing that sits in the space and can take damage and die and everything, so it makes sense that it can block projectiles, I think. I also really like Warcry. Had a ton of fun working on it. I got a point here. Do we need this? I don't think so. As my minion's sitting over there dead. Okay. Minion AI definitely getting some love soon. Yes, Reimer, definitely. We had a prototype minion AI for the wolf that's a little different. A lot of people noticed recently that their wolves were acting a little bit better than their other minions. They've had an upgrade for a while now that I think is behaving very nicely. Whew. Spicy. And the other minions will get the same sort of thing. Quiet asks, what do you think Ellie's biggest weakness when it comes to player choice you wish you could address but can't? Oh, okay. Things we wish we could address but can't. Player choice. I don't know. That's a tough one. It's tough. There's not a ton of things that we just like can't even touch on at all. Maybe someone else on the team in the chat can help me out there with something recently, but like nothing comes to mind. There's a lot of things that we want to work on but don't have the time to work on simultaneously with other things. And I mean, there's a lot of things that people that point out very frequently, like I guess for example the stance. People have been wanting more control over the minion AI and the stances that they use type thing. We mentioned that was a possibility a while ago. Usually it comes down to priorities in cases like that. That's definitely something that we'd like to do. But the positive impact on the game of adding new content in the form of new skills or new areas or new or expanding other systems or like restructuring, like rebuilding some elements in the UI to make them flow better for everyone's experience. Those things sometimes take priority. Building multiplayer. And so we've got to keep in scope for things for 1.0. And there's a lot of things that pile up that we want. We're like, okay, we'll do that one day. Post-launch, we'll definitely get that in type thing. There's a lot of things like that. Raw, the Skellies being dumb because they don't have a brain. They have a brain. It's just not with their body anymore. It's somewhere else down the road. Let's see which one of these is better. Is there any difference? Oh, mine's better. On the ground. Got another skill here. What should we specialize in? I think I want Sabretooth instead of Wolf. For now. Let's do Fury Leap. It's just too good. Rain lightning down on everyone. Yes. Here we go. Ah, Sabretooth, help me. Here's an example of a skill that thematically I really like Sabretooth. I think it's a sweet skill. I like the I like the activatable ability that it has. It's having a little animation problem there, but it's not quite a modern skill tree, put it that way. Alright, Lizard asks, can you talk a bit about how Arena went from random game mode for players to mess around into one of the main endgames? Yeah, really it was primarily just feedback from you guys. So, when we first launched a version of the game for Kickstarter, there was about an hour's worth of gameplay, maybe 2 if you were slow, but there wasn't really a lot of content at all. And in some of the early builds, the feedback we were getting is, I want to play for more time, and I don't know how to do that. Dang it. I want to jump that. I don't know what to do. There was no way to keep playing. We had passive points at that time. It was a center panel that was an X grid thing that grew out, and it was very complicated. But there was a ton of stuff you could get for your character, but there was no way to really get it in the content. So we added that game mode of the arena as sort of what's the fastest thing we can put into the game development time wise, because I don't know how close we were to Kickstarter, but like a week, 2, something like that. And it was just what can we get in quickly so that players have something to do past the campaign snippet that we had available at the time. Alright, that was close. And people really liked it. It was fun. And we started building other endgame systems after that, but it was just one of those things where no matter what we built, because it was so easy to build a ladder for, there was such an easy benchmarking system. It was really easy for people to compare their progress to one another, and like competition drives all sorts of things, which is fantastic to have a way to have competition in the game so early. And having it be that competitive landmark was what really drove its popularity, I think. And we initially had planned to just have it be a temporary thing, but you guys like it, so we kept it, and we've been expanding on it ever since, which is great. I love this guy. The like partially dissolved skeleton. Okay, don't die. Center panel passive screen gross. Come on. It was fantastic. Let me have this. The old passive screen was something that I had originally championed, and it was summarily executed. But it was cool. It just was too much. It wasn't intuitive. It was it didn't put enough of the theming on masteries. We didn't really have masteries at that point even, but it kind of made every like mastery feel the same a little bit, because you could go so easily into multiples. Oh. Come on. Whew. Thanks for the great game from Benyo DE. You are very welcome. Thanks for playing, man. I appreciate it. Uthine, sorry if I butchered that name. Will there be true endgame bosses which will make you really push your build and min-max? For example, Shaper, Uber Elder, Maven, Cyrus, and PoE. Maybe with some cool dedicated loot and low drop chances? Yes, definitely. Those are all great examples. I'd put things like the Pandemonium event in Diablo 2, and things like Path of Diablo created for their Uber Diablo or declone fights, things like that, where it's this you have to build up to it. You really can't go in there unprepared. It's a badge of honor to say I've got a character that can do this. I think that's really important to have. part of the reason we've steered a little bit away from having that just yet is partially lore reasons. You know, there's that whatever that large Uber fight is going to be, having that be a climax in the story for when the game's actually launched is really great. I'm not saying that we'll wait completely until then, but just having it be a little bit further on, where you're not like jumping from partway through the campaign to like all of a sudden of, why am I fighting this person? This makes no sense. In an end game that starts partway through. So like things like that is why part of the reason we've started without it. And then the definitely want to have it later. Also, when we don't have huge amounts of content for people to do and play with, like there's only 2 really end game modes right now, if we're calling Arena and Monolith different end game modes, and then having if we spend too much time working on content that's only available for 1% of the player base, it makes it tricky. We want to have lots for everyone to do, and then work on getting things for really dedicated and hardcore players to do. Sorry, I clicked on Discord last time and it froze the game, so I'm just gonna check on my phone because someone in the stream just sent me a message and maybe I'm doing something wrong. Oh, when can we expect skill and passive revamps for primalist again, an overall class update with its mastery tree? That is something that we are actively working on. I don't have an exact timeline for when we'll get that, but that is something we're making progress on already, and is definitely a in the forefront of our discussions. We were just talking about it yesterday. Actually, we had a big discussion on primalist class reworks and how that's going to happen, where to start, who's working on all that sort of stuff. So there's it's in the pipe, as they say. When approaching skill passive trees, are you going to keep added secondary effect options, or you keep the idea of damage only trees with less secondary effects or procs? Keep the idea of damage only trees. We definitely want to have okay, I think I get what this question is asking. We definitely want to have interesting interactions with every single tree in the game. So there's trees like, for example, I'm gonna pick on Sabretooth for a second here. There's almost zero interaction with Sabretooth and anything else in the entire game. There may actually be zero interaction. Yeah, there is no interaction at all. there's almost no interaction even in the way that the passive tree interacts directly with it. There's a few things, but we will definitely want to expand that for every single skill in the game. Should have interesting secondary effect options in their tree, and also interesting interactions with other skill options in their tree. So we don't want to force anyone to take these options, but we do want there to be like, okay, if I've decided to take Sabretooth and I've decided to take Scorpion, maybe there's some interaction between the two. Or maybe if I've decided to take Sabretooth and I'm a shaman and I'm using a certain maybe Avalanche and the cold version of Sabretooth, and there's some sort of interaction there. I'm literally just pulling stuff out of thin air here, but I think that there needs to be that type of interaction that we've really intentionally built in things like the Rogue already into these other classes. Are there plans to expand the dual wield capabilities, having only certain masteries able to dual wield, in addition to limiting which items can be dual takes away a bit from the fun? Yeah, I think so. There's this is a pretty big topic. There's sometimes restrictions can breed creativity. It's one of my favorite sort of sayings, I guess. and there's room for coming up with I don't know how to say this properly. Giving restrictions in that lets us make items that couldn't exist otherwise. So like because the Spellblade can't dual wield 2 axes, maybe we can make an axe that if they could dual wield them, it would be broken on that class, but it would have a really cool interaction on primalist or something like that. There's mechanical reasons in things like that, and there's also thematic reasons, whereas having an old dude with 2 maces is kind of a break from the class theming and how that class would likely operate in the world. So there's things like that. There's also technical things where every time we add a new dual wield option, there's a ton of animations that go with it. So there's some things there where we can make the more stuff when we restrict certain things like that. Oh yeah, there we go. I wouldn't say that it's out of the question that more will get added, but we don't have any immediate plans to add a bunch more right now. Who knows though? Maybe some of the other masteries that aren't in the game yet might get some. I hadn't really thought about that. Are the plans to do anything with stance skills? Yes, we have plans for the stances. Personally, my personal opinion on stances in general, with skill tree systems, it's really hard to build a skill tree for a stance. I've tried. It's really hard. Most of the passive style abilities, things like I don't know, enchant weapons, almost basic. It's almost a stance, really. It's really hard to build skill trees like that. We do have some interesting plans for. I was trying to jump. I was trying to jump where I can't. We do have some interesting plans for stances that will make them accessible to use. And I think a really interesting part about stances is switching between them, and having multiple of them on your bar is not likely great. So if you have 2 stances on your bar and each of them has a passive tree, and you're switching between them, that's a lot of your skill budget, I want to say, that is taken up by effectively passive skills that are sitting on your bar. And there's not a lot of really active things to do apart from just like, okay, well, this one ran out, I switched to the other one, this one ran out, I switched to the other one. Sometimes there might be circumstances where you can get a build where maybe you're like, oh, there's a lot of enemies around me, I switch to a certain stance. Oh, I'm fighting one guy, I switch to a different stance. And there's a little bit of then like decision making and gameplay there, but not a lot really. For the most part, I think generally people will end up with just one stance on their bar, and it just basically sits there taking up a slot and doing very little, which I'm not a huge fan of personally. Having that stance functionality and interaction without it needing to be on your bar is really cool, I think, and makes having conditions for those stances to be a lot better, I think. I don't know if I'm making any sense here. But yeah, we definitely know that stances are thematically really cool, and people like them. There's lots of great time stances that have been used in other games, like WoW had a lot of stance interaction with different with warriors, and it's a very different game style, for sure. And then there's also my favorite implementation of stances in a game is Udyr from League of Legends. Having that, it's really active stance switching, but that requires a whole character built around it. That's the whole thing that character is switching stances. So we'll see. Yeah, maybe just have 2 stances in one skill that you switch between. Yeah, that's definitely a version that we've looked at. And then you just have like the stance skill. It's kind of what ended up happening with like, so you look back at games like Diablo 2 where there's like a dozen aura skills in the game, and you really have to pick which one you have up at a time, and that's kind of like a stance system in a sense. But when we did auras, we were like, we don't want to ever have 2 auras on your bar simultaneously, so we just put up one. Not really looking at gear like I probably should be. We just put it all into one skill, and tried to get as much variety and theming in that skill tree as we can. I think I can see that having a little bit of love too coming up. In general, will unarmed playstyles get more love? We have uniques for them, but what about making it a viable choice for like dual wielding? Yeah, that's a really interesting playstyle mechanic and interactions there, is having a dual wielding or having a unarmed combat. There's like, again, there's lots of precedents in theming barrels that you can't break. Blasphemy. There's lots of precedents in other games. Like I loved making unarmed Skyrim character. Ton of fun. But yeah, there's you can see that there is talk of it, and we've definitely not abandoned the idea. We don't have immediate plans for it, I'd say. So I would keep an eye out for it post launch, but I wouldn't expect any major unarmed really heavy playstyles pre-launch would be my guess. Yeah, the Praetor, you're right about having, like, if one aura turns on, it just turns off the others. And once again, making a skill tree for an aura is pretty difficult. We had a lot of stuff that's either just overpowered or really similar. So getting it so that like the actual aura feels interesting and unique and all those things that we want in skill trees, it was it ended up being just kind of like, why do we have these 2 different things? Might as well just, if turning one on turns the other off, it's the same problem about having 2 sort of passive skills on your bar. We like to avoid that scenario whenever possible. Having, like, we know people like to have that sort of lazy play style, and we build nodes into different skills. Like, for example, Enchant Weapon has that node in the bottom right where it's just like it's autocast. It's the numlock trick. And we build things like that from time to time. We do like, don't stand in that. Having the different, like having different things to do, I personally think is more exciting. Come on. Oh, that was a mistake. Let me try and answer a question while I'm doing this. Currently, projectiles like fireball or lightning don't act as light sources. Great question, Rasu said. Will this be implemented for sometime in the future? Guessing it's a performance thing. It is a performance thing. We have a great new technical artist on the team, Max. Shout out. How you doing, bud? And he is he's doing all sorts of awesome wizardry in the tech art side of things. It's a really cool field that, I'll be honest, I didn't really know existed before working on this game. And he is going to be making that a possibility. Which I know Sam, our VFX artist, will be very happy about, or is very happy about, because frequently he likes to try and put light sources in VFX, and it just wrecks performance. and we can't do it properly. So it is something that we are looking at. This is hand in hand with the stuff I was talking about last time that's coming along great, which is the performance updates that we keep talking about, these nebulous performance updates that are one day coming. They are coming quite nicely. How long until colorblind options will be mentioned or developed? Yeah, there's examples of colorblind things that we need to do. So for example, when your health drops, there's that, we call it yellow health or orange health, that sits behind, or gray health, I don't know what you want to call it, that says like, oh, you just got hit by a big hit, this is how big that hit was, and then it slowly drains. I know there's certain types of colorblind that have really big problems with that. We do try and avoid that as much as possible. A lot of the new UI has, whenever something's color distinguished, we try and give it a symbol distinguish as well. So that even if it is the same color, the symbols help distinguish it. Likely colorblind options will be a little bit in the future. The new UI we build, we do try and keep those things in mind. There's a lot of accessibility things that are that need to get added to the game still. Like there's some things that are accessibility options that you don't even think about sometimes, like subtitles. Yeah, so we need to. There's lots of things we need to do in there, and we do plan on it. We know having colorblind options is really important. It was a really big question a little while back, and I didn't read it. And every time I try and scroll up, it just automatically scrolls back down in the chat. Oh, okay. Trundle God. I remember your name from last time. Plans for an endless scaling dungeon similar to Pee-wee's Delve. Yeah, that would be a really cool thing. We do have, so right now the thing that sort of takes that place is blanking on the arena. And it's not the same thing, 'cause it's not a dungeon really. You're just sitting in a small arena that changes styles here and there, but it's not a dungeon really. We do have plans for more things like that, and I would say you'll be pleasantly surprised with where the monolith's going. It's not exactly that, but there will be more things like that for you in it. So hopefully that gets you excited for it, because we do want that style of gameplay, because like we know Delve is a very popular game mode in PoE for sure. But we can't just it's the tough thing, we can't just copy it, and we don't want to either. Like we always try and develop new things to get different play styles and gameplay experiences that are possible for people to experience and have fun with. And do it in our own way. There's a lot of great examples out there. Oh, this might be good. I need a little more resistances. Excuse me, I'm trying to read my stats, please. Oh no! We're gonna wear it. We're gonna wear it. Oh my, yeah! Okay, apparently I need to pay attention to what's going on around me. Alright, increased experience. Great, nothing around me. Let's go, find something. Lots of pings. Okay, lots of stuff here. I want to answer all these questions. I love it. Okay, sockets and gems implementation. What can you say on it? So the really, like, I don't know if I mentioned this last time. There's our crafting system. So if you look at socketing and gem systems, like you just go back to Diablo 2 because it's the one I know the best, which is why most of my examples come from it. You have an item, it's got a socket, you have a ruby, you add the ruby to your sword, it has fire damage. Awesome. Ton of fun, works great, you feel that immediate boost of like, oh, I just got ignite. Our crafting system's basically the same thing. Because we have that deterministic crafting, it's really, 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 really similar. So we have to do something a little bit different with socketing systems. And it's gone through quite a few different iterations as we've been designing the game and developing. As the crafting systems evolved, our plans for socketing have changed. It is still a really cool way to have multiple items combined together in a it's a crafting system basically, and whether or not those items are removable or not, and you can then recraft on things with sockets. There's things we've talked about, lots of different things, like having an affix on an item become a socket, and then have things that can go in it. There's all sorts of challenges with these things, each one of the different ways we've talked about doing it, and I can't really give you exact details on it because it's not quite nailed down yet exactly what it's going to be. But there's lots of cool stuff that we've been exploring around it. Carnaga, yeah, that sounds right. How happy or unhappy are you with the community testers? Is this really helpful? Well, I think so, at least. But is there something to say about these fellows that might be interesting? Yeah, the community testing program has been very successful. It's been great. They've all been really good at getting, like, they're all really enthusiastic members of our community already. So I know they enjoy getting a chance to get a little bit of an early look at things. And it's been really helpful having really focused feedback on things before it comes out. I think it's helped to show, I think we've had better quality releases and less dramatic or emergency hotfixes, I would say. So there's been less times where we've been like, oh crap, we have to fix something now. Mostly because they've picked it up. It really helps to get things in the hands of people a little bit sooner. And yeah, overall it's been a very, very, very positive thing, and yeah, I'm happy, very happy. While new VFX for skills look amazing, I do find the game suffer from visual clutter more than before. Any plans on a minimum VFX mode for those who just want to play efficiently and not as pretty? Yeah, I think we have talked about having this type of mode, and that also comes into play with things like when you're talking about multiplayer, it's even a bigger thing. So we have started looking at, in multiplayer tests, we've started looking, we're like, okay, when there's two people that have this skill in the game together, no one can see anything. So we've definitely started to look at that. We are, like I mentioned earlier, with getting light sources and things like that into skills that really can use it. It helps keep things smaller but still distinct, and being able to tell what they are, and having communication. There's two types of VFX for abilities. There's enemy VFX, which needs to be really clear, because you need to be able to know exactly what's hitting you when, and like, okay, so-and-so's using this ability on me, I have to be able to get out of it, because I have to know when it's there, so I know when to get out of it, type thing. I need to know when to run, when to stay, all these things. So that needs to be obvious and very easy to distinguish. And then there's the other side of it of player ability VFX, where it really helps sell the fantasy of, I am a primalist that is wielding the elements of nature to destroy my enemies. And having that impact feel good is really important to have the whole class experience feel good as well. So it's a really fine line to walk with noisy and impactful VFX, and we're definitely always talking about it and always tweaking them. So yeah, that's something we take to heart for sure. With how much the items have evolved since Kickstarter, does the initial design of the Eternity Cache still works, or is it being completely overhauled since? There's the original descriptions of them have a lot of those things have changed quite a bit. I don't think we ever really gave a clear description of what the Eternity Cache was going to be. The same feeling is still something we're talking about. There's a lot of changes to game, like the engine itself, that have come through since those things have been talking about. I'd say basically everything's up for changes. Anything that was announced or talked about or released more than 2 years ago is very up for changes. That was bold. Come on. Yeah. With so many questions, can we expect longer streams soon? Maybe. I don't know. There's kind of a balance there. I mean, I'd love to keep streaming more and more and more, but I gotta get work done too, guys. Like, yeah, I want that. I want the reset. Give me the reset. We've gotta put some time aside for making the game. We've been working on I've been working on a lot of UI reworks right now with Judd and Scott, and it is going fantastic. But it takes a lot of time. So, I mean, this is great to get a little break to hang out and chat with you guys. But, and to be honest, I do really enjoy doing a fresh playthrough like this. It's a lot of fun for me. I guess I should go back and complete some of those other quests. Where are we here? Doing this time riff. This is always the one that I never know if I should do. No, this is the one we should do. There's another one that I never know if I should do. How important is player punishment on your eyes? How do you balance challenge and frustration? Question of masochist. So, from a masochist. Yeah, so there's... Player punishment's really an interesting thing. We do... We're kind of light on it right now, in general. So the... I'll turn it around this way. There's no death penalty really, apart from the walk back that you have to do, which honestly I'm not like. I think people should be able to pick the degree of that punishment, and that's why hardcore mode exists really. To pick to some degree. I do personally like the Diablo 2 method of it, where, big surprise, right? You losing gold and experience. I think the gold was, like, I get it that the repair costs and you die a whole bunch and you gotta go back and get your gear and everything. I think the experience loss is the best part of that, because it's something that's it doesn't actually reduce the power of your character at all. It doesn't make you worse. It does provide a semblance of, like, I can't die because it's less efficient, I lose experience, I lose progress, things like that, but you don't actually lose any, your character doesn't become weaker or anything like that. I guess there's also a question about the, like, in the monolith setbacks and things like that. We've got some plans for changes on that, but having some sort of setback is, I think, good. And part of the reason the setbacks that were in the monolith already exist is because if you've gotten to a position where it's actually too hard because of the options you picked, part of the reason we take you back a few timelines is there's a thematic reason there, but there's also the like if you've just picked maybe like a dodge one and you are really based on those guaranteed like hits proccing an ability, and without that your whole combo just falls to pieces. If you die, then having that that roll back a little bit can give you a second chance and keep going instead of having to abandon the whole thing. What are the hidden zones in this area? Almost died. 4 in... Oh, come on. Whew. Guys, you can't let me die like that. Jeez. They are... to be revealed... I can't. To be revealed at a later date. One of my favorite things are hidden zones in games, like Secret Cow level. Absolutely love it. I think that right now the purpose of those zones at the moment is more to let you know that hidden things exist. Oh, hey there. And to let you know to keep an eye out more than anything. Let you know that we like hiding things. Let you know that we like putting little Easter eggs and secrets here and there. Secret llama level. Someone I think earlier asked what my favorite D2 class skill was. It is a very difficult question to answer for me. I mean, like the things I've played the most are like Meteorb and Hammerdens, like everyone has. But my favorite, I think, is Poison Necro. So Poison Dagger, Poison Nova, Poison Explosion. That's my favorite. Mostly because it was back in the day, it wasn't really very widely used, and one of my friends invited me to a duel, and had no idea what was going to come. And there was a bug where if you, the durations on poison, if you had a long duration poison on someone and you hit them with a short duration poison, it would apply all the damage from the long duration poison in the short duration. I might have that backwards, but it would just spike a ton of damage and take you to 1. It wouldn't kill you. So there was always all these times where if like you get a single dagger hit on someone, they would just die, as long as you also had a any sort of cold aura. So you have like you've frozen whatever the cold aura was. And it would just, you'd get them with a single Nova tick, bop them with a dagger, maybe it's the other way around, and then just be near them and they would die. It was a ton of fun. Smoke Weaver exists. It didn't by mistake for a little while, but it exists now. Will you create more ways to offset negative effects, chill enemy dodge, like chill immunity on gear, skills, passives, or something? Yeah, like there's new items coming in all the time, and I think that having items that are specifically designed to fill in gaps in your builds, if there's something that's particularly difficult for you, is really good. So, like if your build is ultra susceptible to chills, maybe there's, I don't know, a pair of boots eventually that lets you, or like a really, really warm coat. It's new unique coming, really warm coat. And it, drop some things here. maybe it helps fix that. I think that's a really good thing to have. Having
Eterra watch over you.
I know where I'm going right now. Having ways to prevent these big problems and to fill gaps in your build with specific items is really good, I think. We got there. Can we get a quick shout out if I'm going to join the Church of Oribos as a high priest? Don't think much about it. I have already pledged my allegiance to Raya, and I just can't do it. Just rolled a melee primalist, and none of the melee skills felt any good besides swipe. Any reason Tempest is not to use attack speed? Yes, definitely. I'm using Tempest Strike right now. And Tempest Strike has a lot of proc abilities when you hit. And if you're attacking really fast with something that has a lot of proc abilities that are based on hit triggers, say you're using a weapon with a really high attack speed, you got like a one-handed sword that's got really high attack speed, and you're cranked your attack speed on all your items to the max and all that sort of stuff, these proc abilities would be coming out at an incredible rate, and the performance would tank. So that was the original reason why we capped the attack speed bonus on Tempest Strike and added to crit instead. Sort of an attempt, because crit works with those abilities as well, and it's an attempt to also keep it feeling mechanically unique and distinct from the other ones. So it's trying to give it that space of like, okay, there can be a big hit with them. And I think it has potential right now. It's definitely not perfect, and especially with an ability like this and all those proc abilities, the performance will get a lot better with the auto pooling system that we've been talking about. Do you planning on adding more unique items? Tons. Always more unique items. Yes. Unique items take a little while to build and test and all that sort of stuff, and every time we make one they get a little bit more complicated, it seems. But yeah, we do plan to add more uniques. Every patch they come, there's more coming this patch.
I see.
There's another question back here. Is potion in the finished state, or are you thinking about adding more stuff to it? I think potions are actually in a fairly good state. There's certain things that aren't fantastic with it, but for the most part I think they're pretty good. We will continue to keep an eye on them if it becomes a problem. We want to avoid having unique potion, like having potion be like an equipable slot. So usually when we have potion affixes or effects, it goes on your belt slot, because your belt holds your potions, and there's that thematic link there. So we like putting different potion effects in your belt slot. Yeah, thanks. That looks great. Lots of questions coming here. We're right near the end. We're a little bit over time, but I'll hammer out a few more questions. Any plans for more joke weapon like the totally normal shield from Grim Dawn? Yeah, there's lots of great examples of joke weapons. Guild Wars has the ogre slaying knife. It has +8 to ogre slaying, and it's a nod to the I think it's +8. It's a nod to the there's a cartoon, a D&D cartoon that I'm blanking on the name of right now, but I love it. I really like things like that, and yeah, we like the Alchemist Ladle was a bit of a joke originally. I can see there being there's nods to things like that, like the doublet of Onus Tel. That's a bit of a joke. Yeah. Kissing Ire, glad to see you. How happy are you with the default proc rate of Tempest Strike? It always felt really RNG with proc rates, no consistent when you want things to happen in group battles, especially early. Yeah, I'd say Tempest Strike is something we're going to continue to look at. It's definitely not in a finished state right now. I think I really like the skill, and I'm actually having a ton of fun playing with it right now. But I know it's not everyone's favorite, and it's still something that we are going to keep an eye on, and there'll be some changes to it, I think. I think the proc rate becoming more consistent would be a very positive change. Do you guys have plans to expand each class and mastery's skill pool? Yes. There are... We've got tons of plans for everything. If we could clone ourselves and have a second set of people working on all sorts of things simultaneously, we would. We've got the amount of plans, we're not short on plans at all. There are... For launch, you can kind of see... Well, this is getting changed too, actually, but it's got a fairly good idea of how many skills are going to exist at launch from how full this is. We do plan the UI with things like that in mind, and we do have there's lots of skills we'd like to add for sure for classes, and we want room to expand that post launch as well. Yeah, quite. I would love to answer that lore question. My advice is talk to Kyle on the forums, because he will be able to answer it dramatically better than I can. I'm sorry. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that just about wraps it up, guys. Thank you for coming to hang out. Got our primalist. I should really take some time, probably off stream, and figure out if I'm going to change any gear, because like I'm still wearing a ring I picked up from like the very beginning of the game, and you know, pretty haphazardly just kind of rushing, but having a lot of fun so far. Hopefully we can get up to the skills we're playing. Storm Totem we're looking at. We're going to use Work Grind Totem mode as well. Tempest Strike. Crush some people. I'd like to ideally get this I can't jump there yet. Get this character all the way up to like running monoliths and all sort of stuff. So come back next time. We'll be here 1 week today, same time. There's a schedule up on our stream page now as well. And yeah, this is, as far as I can tell right now, this is going to be a regular thing. Feeling good, having lots of fun. So, thank you all for stopping by. Have a great day.